Greetings, this is the Doctor. Welcome to another Starship review. Today I'm going to review the Tier 6 Benthan Cruiser. This is a Tier 6 starship that was released in the Delta Rising expansion in October of 2014. How can you obtain this Benthan Cruiser? There are two ways. One, you can open Delta Expedition locked boxes and hope that it will drop. That's basically the big special drop of the Delta Expedition locked boxes. Or, of course, you can go to the exchange and buy the ship from there as well. It is a bit expensive. You will find them at around 59 million energy credits for a Benthan Assault Cruiser Tier 6. But that is what we are reviewing today. So before I talk about the ship itself, I just wanted first to talk a little bit about Tier 6 starships, because this is my very first testing and review of a Tier 6 starship in Star Trek Online. Tier 6 starships are, of course, new with the whole big expansion. Now that the game allows you up to level 60, they came out with a whole new tier of ships, Tier 6. These are, of course, superior to Tier 5 or Tier 5U ships. Specifically, they are superior in a few ways. Number one, all Tier 6 ships have a full 5 Masteries to unlock, Starship Masteries, whereas Tier 5U only have 4, and of course Tier 5 and under have none. So you have an extra Mastery level. Then, of course, you can have a scaling hull from level 50 to 60. That's only unique to Tier 5U and Tier 6 ships. They only have that scaling hull from 50 to 60. And then, the big thing that makes Tier 6 ships unique and better than Tier 5U ships is the fact that they have intelligence officer, bridge officer seating. Now, all that is, and a good way to think about intelligence officers, is basically they are powers that Tier 6 ships have available to them that other ships don't. So this is basically a set of powers specifically for Tier 6 ships. Tier 5U and below cannot run these powers. You cannot have a bridge officer trained in any of these intelligence officer powers sitting on a Tier 5U ship that won't do anything. So these are basically just powers only accessible to Tier 6 ships. That makes them stand out because it allows those ships to have powers that other ships don't have. These, of course, are bridge officer powers, activatable powers you train up in the normal way with your bridge officer and then activate those powers. Now, I could make a whole video on intelligence officer powers and how all that works, same as command powers now that the command ships are out. So I don't want to do that in this video because that could take a very long time. But I think in the future, once I really get to use intelligence officers more and command officers, I think a video on that will definitely be worth it. But what I can do right now with the Tier 6 ships I review is at least show you what that specific Tier 6 ship supports in way of bridge officer seating and intelligence officer seating, and the powers we can train on him for that ship, because each ship is different, you see. Just like regular ships below Tier 6 have, lieutenant and commander and ensign powers, it's kind of like that with Tier 6 intelligence seating as well. You can have different ships that have different levels of seating for different things. So basically, that's that, but we will go over that. I'll show you what the Benthan Cruiser can support, and of course, every Tier 6 ship down the road, I'll just show you what that ship can support and what you're able to put on it. So that is basically Tier 6 ships in a nutshell. That's what makes them different from Tier 5U ships. So keep that in mind, because that's really going to be what makes these ships stand out from their Tier 5U counterparts. Well, there are no Tier 5U counterparts, but you know what I mean. Also, the Benthan Cruiser, of course, has a unique console. So beyond just the Tier 6 abilities of the ship, it does have a unique console. And I'll go over the powers that this ship supports and what it can do. It's a cruiser, through and through. So I am on the Last Doctor. He is my primary engineering character. Yes, I have another engineering character, Ensign Ricky, but to be honest with you, the Last Doctor, he's the one that gets all the cool ships. So he's also the one that's most kitted for that type of thing. He's the one I've spent the most time on upgrading gear and all that stuff, and it's expensive to upgrade gear in this game. So, I can't do it on all my characters, but this one I have spent the time and resources on. All right, let's bring up the Benthan ship, and we'll read along here of what this ship is meant to do, what it's meant for. The starships of the Benthan fleet combine efficiency and beauty in equal measure. The smooth, flowing lines of their ships' outer hulls serve both to enhance its aesthetic appeal and to allow incoming energy to be redirected and distributed across its subsystems, increasing its survivability during any confrontation. The Benthan Assault Cruiser is the most well-known of their vessels, serving as the vanguard in the majority of their peacekeeping operations. The Benthan Assault Cruiser comes equipped with a console universal polaric chromoelectric modulator. Say that 3 times fast. Usage of this device allows redirection of incoming energy damage into the massive reservoirs throughout their ship hulls, which can lessen the harm such attacks deal to their shields. This energy can also then be emitted toward an enemy starship, disabling their system and overloading their EPS conduits to cause hull ruptures throughout the ship. Most criminals surrender after feeling the bite of this weapon. The few that don't tend not to live long enough to make any other bad decisions. This console mod can be equipped in any console slot. It may be equipped only on the Benthan Assault Cruiser or the Hazari Destroyer. You may only equip one of these mods. After achieving level 5 in your Benthan Assault Cruiser, you will unlock the Load Viral Torpedo Starship trait. And that trait is basically that 5th mastery slot. It is an actual starship trait, and you can add and earn more on tier 6 ships as well. While this trait is slotted, activation of Engineering, Science, Tactical, and Intelligence team now load a viral torpedo. This causes your next torpedo attack to disable your target for a short period of time. This can occur every 20 seconds, and this, by the way, is a passive power. You don't have to do anything. Well, I guess it's kind of active in the sense that you have to enable an engineering, science, or tactical team, but other than that, you don't have to do anything. It's all automatic. So the hull strength of this cruiser goes from 37,500 at level 40 to 43,125 at level 50, and then on up to 50,000 at level 60. So it's got a very lengthy kind of scaling hull from level 40 to 60, really. So that's really nice. It's got a shield modifier of plus 1.25. That's rather high. Normally science ships have the higher shield modifier, but this one has a pretty good shield modifier. That just means your shield capacity will be higher, which is what you want on a cruiser. Crew of 850, so it's got a fairly large size crew. Weapons 4 fore and 4 aft, very balanced. 4 device slots. 1 lieutenant tactical, 1 lieutenant commander tactical, 1 commander engineering. So as you can see, definitely built for that engineering slant or an engineering character if you want to go purist. That commander engineering slot, perfect for that. 1 lieutenant intel science. That's the unique thing that makes it a tier 6 ship, is that ability to have a lieutenant intel or science character or bridge officer. And then 1 lieutenant universal, so you can kind of mix it up and design this thing how you want. Pretty good seating, I think. I don't think that's too terrible. I don't have any other tier 6 ships to compare it to at the moment, but I've got a couple that will be coming in the future. But at this time, I really don't have much to compare that to. Console modifications, it's got 4 tactical, 5 engineering, and 2 science. A little light on the science, but 4 is a little more heavier on the tactical than I would have thought. So 4 tactical, 5 engineering, of course. 10.5 degrees per second. It's not a fast turning ship, but it's not really meant to be. Impulse modifier plus 0.15, plus 10 power to weapon, plus 5 to shield, and 5 to engine power. And then, of course, the universal polaric chromoelectric modulator. And, of course, because it's a tier 6 ship, it has 5 masteries to unlock. and they're called absorptive plating, rapid repairs, enhanced plating, armored hull, and then the viral torpedo is the fifth one, which is actually a starship trait, and I'll show you how that works. Beyond that, it has regular cruiser communications abilities that most cruisers have. It's got strategic maneuvering, shield frequency modulation, weapon system efficiency, and attract fire. So it's packed with a lot of things. The question is, are those things actually really useful on this ship? And I have to say, just straight off the bat, that while this ability that it has, this polaric chromo-electric modulator thing, while it sounds impressive, and it even says here, I like their description of it, most criminals surrender after feeling the bite of this weapon. So it sounds like it's powerful, right? It's got this kind of bite to it. I have to say, after using it a lot, I don't feel that same way. I don't get that. I think their description of it is much more flavorful than what you actually get in the real world. I think the real world use of it is not that great, and I just end up not using it much because it's just not that great. I will use it. I will show you guys how it works. There's actually two different kinds of modes to it, but its usefulness is kind of hampered by the fact that when you activate it, it really takes about 30 seconds to build up. And by that time, your enemies are dead, and then it blows, and it's not affecting anybody. But I'll go into that in detail, because that's a real-world situation that you don't get out of the text. I mean, you can only get through playing and using the ship. Can you figure out that sort of thing? And I'll describe that in detail. So that's just a basic description of the ship. Now let's go look at it, and we will take it into battle, of course, and I'll show you each little thing on it. Very first thing I want to do is, before we go to the build and everything that I'm using right now, let's take a look at how we can customize it, or if there are any customization options to it. Because that's always fun. Everyone loves to customize their ships. Now, the first thing I will say about this as we look at it here in the customizer, and this is something that I have made a huge deal about, and I know you guys have probably heard me say this, the ship is backwards and it drives me crazy. And I don't mean that as a metaphor. This ship literally flies backwards. So, in the show Voyager, if you watch Voyager very carefully, look at the Benthan ships when they're flying. When you see them in whatever episodes they're in, watch them as they fly. And you will notice that they fly with this part here as the front of the ship and this part as the rear of the ship. And that makes sense because if you look at this part of it, you have basically your weapon. These are not impulse engines, even though they may look like it. These are like weapons. And the bridge, I don't know if that's supposed to, I think that's supposed to be the bridge down there. If you turn it around to the back, these are the impulse engines. I mean, they're red, just like impulse engines. This bulbous thing is empty. When you look kind of inside it there, it's just, I don't know what the purpose of that is. Maybe that's part of the storage facility for the chromo-electric weapon. But this is the rear of the ship. Yet, in the game, this is the front of the ship, and this is the rear of the ship. So it's actually flying backwards, literally, in the game, and it is completely distracting and annoying to me. It's one thing that I just can't get over, and here we are sitting in February of 2015. This ship has been in the game now from October to November, December, January, February. It's been 5 months now, and this ship is still flying backwards. So somebody at Cryptic goofed, and they still haven't fixed it 5 months later. It's a bit annoying, to be honest with you. Now, one can argue that maybe it looks better with this part flying forward instead of this part. But, I mean, if you want to go by the show, if you want to, go strictly by the show, it's flying backwards. Yeah. So get on that, Cryptic, because honestly, I mean, I might even agree with you that it looks better flying this way, but it's really supposed to fly this way. So, Anyway, let's see what we can do here. We've only got one template. Interior, we do maybe have I don't know if this is a bug, but it's not showing me what the interior looks like, so we'll go up and look at it, because I don't know if it does or not have a unique interior. I think it might, because it says a Benthan here, so maybe it does. No window types. Material, we've only got 2 types of material. I kind of like that one a lot better. I wonder why it's so dark though. When I looked at this before, it wasn't that dark. Weird. Oh, I might have a shield effect on. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, there's 2 types of materials. This is the default one, and then this is the second one. I kind of like this one better. It makes it more shiny, at least. Yeah, I kind of like this one a lot better. It makes it darker too, but I swear it wasn't that dark before when I tried it. That's weird. Let's see. It has no styles and no patterns, and this is different. I've never seen a ship yet that doesn't even allow you to set a pattern on it, and this one has no patterns whatsoever. So really weird. Oh, there it is. Oh, I didn't know that. Look at that. Okay, so the type 1 material, you can add a pattern, but the type 2 material, you cannot. That's unique. So I didn't know it did that, but now I know. So pretty much another very uncustomizable ship. Pretty much 2 material types, and that's it. We'll stick with the default one, and I'll show you what that looks like. I may change that later for combat, because I kind of like the way that other skin looked on it. So that is just a tiny overview of how it looks. Of course, we'll go into space, and I'll talk more about it in space, and we will go to the bridge. But first, let's go over the build on this thing. And of course, my general disclaimer here: the build that I have chosen is not the only way to build this ship, and you can certainly build it your own way and however you want to do it. I'm not forcing you into any kind of build. This is just a suggestion, maybe a place to start, and you can go from there. I have to say, this is one of the more harder builds I've ever had on a ship. When I first built this thing, the DPS was very, very low, and I had to call on people for help to get this build doing some better damage, because I just really wasn't doing a lot. I'm finally now over 10k on this thing, but I have to say, when I first got it, it was hard to get it there. I was very confused about how to build it, to be honest with you. If you look and go by the NPCs in the game, the Benthan fire Tetrions. That's what they use in the game, but I don't know. I didn't really want to have to build some kind of Tetrion draining ship. I wanted to go a different route. I didn't think maybe Tetrions were the best build for it. And I ended up using anti-protons, and that's the way I went. But I really had a difficult time figuring out what to do on the ship, simply because there's no established, thing that the Benthans are known for. No established theme of weaponry and powers and that sort of thing. So it was really hard to build, but I finally kind of got it down, and I think it's an okay build now. It works. I can kill my enemy pretty fast. I can sustain myself in battle. I've kind of built it as a hybrid cruiser tank / DPS build. Let's call it that. And it works. So let's look at it. Of course, there are changes that I could possibly make to it, but here we go. Oh, by the way, I decided to go all Delta Rising or Delta Alliance, Delta Reputation on this ship for the first time, and that's because I wanted to take a look at the Delta Alliance Reputation gear. This is my first look and first testing of the Delta Reputation gear. So we go to Reputation, you go to Delta Alliance, you have the space gear here. Except for the Thoron stuff. I didn't go with the Polaron beam, because I didn't go Polaron, I went anti-proton, but there is a Thoron infused Polaron beam, which is part of a set, but I didn't use that one. But then there's also the Bioneural Gel Pack, the Delta Alliance deflector array, Delta Alliance hyper efficient engine, Delta Alliance warp core, except I'm not using the warp core either. I'm using a Spire warp core, which is probably a little better for right now. But on another build, I will be using the Delta Alliance warp core for the 4-piece set, so that'll be interesting. The Unimatrix shield, I'm using that, and the Neutronic torpedo, I'm using that. So basically, it's mostly all of the Delta Alliance reputation gear except for 2 pieces, the beam and the warp core. So I decided to go anti-protons. I am using Advanced Fleet anti-proton beams, not the modifiers that I would really want. I would really rather have accuracy ×2, damage ×2, but I bought these weapons like a long time ago and I kind of picked the wrong modifiers, but whatever. I went ahead and did invest into upgrading them to Mark 14. So my 2 beams up here are Mark 14, and I have a dual anti-proton beam bank, also Mark 14. And this is kind of the way I went. It's just 2 regular beams up here, and then 1 dual beam up here to give me just a little more damage firing forward on this thing. And then in the rear, I've got 2 regular beams, Mark 14, and then I also have the Ancient Omnidirectional Beam Array, Mark 14, and then the Kinetic Cutting Beam. These 2 are 360-degree beams. This, of course, is anti-proton, so it fits the build. But both of these are 360 degrees, so when I fire forward, I'm firing this beam, this beam, this beam, and these 2 beams, all firing forward. And, of course, if I want to fire broadside, I can still do that as well pretty well. So that's kind of the direction I went. And then, like I said, the rest of everything else is Delta Alliance because I'm testing it out. I want to see, how it all works and what it does. But this is the Neutronic torpedo from the Delta Alliance reputation. I did upgrade it to 14, so we can, see what that does. I kind of like this torpedo so far. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks, and I do like it. It does radiation damage to the enemy. So in combination with a couple of other consoles that I have, I'm doing even more radiation damage. So it's kind of like added. I'm doing a lot of radiation damage to the enemy. I've got the Delta Alliance deflector on here. This is a pretty good deflector. +5 shield power, auxiliary power, improves hull healing, ship hit points, resist shield drain, energy drain. Got a Delta Alliance impulse engine. Resist hull disable knock. It's got flight turn +5 engine power. So I'm pretty much getting +5 to almost every subsystem just with those 2 things. And then, of course, the shield, I'm using the Unimatrix shield. I did upgrade it to 14 to get a higher capacity. Again, I wanted to build this thing to be as tanky as I could get it, yet still doing some damage. So this has a pretty good shield capacity, reduces all energy damage to shields by 10%, and then has an extra reduces polaron damage. So if you're fighting Vaudois or someone, whoever uses polarons, that'll be good. And this, of course, is a set, part of a set. There's the 4th part to it would be the warp core if I had it, but I don't. But the two-piece bonus to this set is +25% additional defense when using evasive maneuvers. And then the 3rd piece to this is +20% flight speed and turn rate. Now that turn rate actually helps me quite a bit on this cruiser. So because of that 3-piece set, I do have a higher flight speed and turn rate, which of course really helps me on this cruiser. And then the 4th piece, if I had the warp core, I would get this prototype Tantalus field, but I don't have that, so I don't have that ability. But I do have another ship where I have the warp core and I do have that Tantalus field, and I'll show you how that works on that ship. That'll be fun. So basically, the whole idea of this here is just that I'm testing out the Delta Alliance stuff for the first time. There are probably better combinations of deflector, impulse, and shield you could go. One would be maybe a Nukara. You could go Nukara, Nukara deflector and Nukara shield would be a good combination. And then the Romulan impulse engine would be a good combination there. So Nukara, and Romulan. And that Romulan impulse engine, a lot of people overlook that, but that's a pretty good impulse engine. And especially on escorts, though this is not an escort, it helps with attack patterns. So that's an interesting one to look at if you're flying escorts, but it could also help this ship, or it could help any ship that you want to put an attack pattern on, like attack pattern beta or something like that. That Romulan engine would help. So there's different ways to do the sets here, and I did try it. I did have the Nukara deflector and the Nukara shield and the Romulan impulse engine, and I ran that for a little while and tried that. And while I worked up to getting all the Delta Alliance stuff, and then I put the Delta Alliance stuff on because I want to test out everything that it does. But that's the basic setup there. For my consoles, now of course you want to max out your TAC consoles with whatever energy type you're using. So naturally I have Spire level anti-proton damage ones, and I did upgrade them to 14, and I had one that went epic on me, which is great. I love it when that happens. Doesn't happen on me that often, but this one went epic on me, so even a little bit more anti-proton damage there, 37.5% versus these that are 35.6, and then 9.4% critical severity, and these are 8.9. So that was cool. I wish all of them went epic, but hey, you know, they didn't. So anyway, 4 of those just to get my anti-proton damage up as much as possible and get my critical severity up as much as possible too with the anti-protons. For the engineering slots, I of course have my Universal Simulated Module, Mark 14. I did put the Bioneural Gel Pack from the Delta Alliance on here. I upgraded it to Mark 14. This gives plus 2.2 power to all subsystems. So in addition to these things giving like plus 5 shield, plus 5 auxiliary, this one is also giving plus 2.2 to everything. So as you can see, just really increasing my power levels there, which is important on a ship that's firing a lot of beams. This also improves your ship hit points, or shield hit points, excuse me. So my shield capacity will be even higher with this console on. And I love this ability, a 7% cooldown reduction on bridge officer abilities. So it's not a lot, but it does bring down the timers a little bit on the bridge officers so that you can cycle them faster. So that's really cool. And then I have my EPS at 14, and I have my Neutronium with ship hit points at 14. And this is the unique console. We'll take a look at that in a second. Down here in science, this is where the fun happens. To try to get more damage out of the ship, I went with the Romulan Embassy science consoles. You get these from the Romulan Embassy if you're in a fleet. And these are the plasma generating weapon signature nullifiers with flow, and I upgraded them to Mark 14 as well. Now there is a patch. In fact, the patch that came out just today, in fact, changes something called plasma doping that people were doing, which I won't go in. We won't debate that, but it was a way to get more damage out of your ship, and basically Cryptic has turned that off now. But these consoles are not completely useless. They still add the plasma damage over time proc to non-plasma weapons. That's still a thing. Now it's not a whole lot, but I mean, if you're not using your science consoles for anything else, then why not go ahead and just max out your science consoles with this to add a little more plasma damage to non-plasma weapons. And of course I'm using anti-proton, so this applies. That damage over time proc did not go away at all. So that's not what Cryptic has turned off. What they've turned off is the ability for this to be buffed by some kind of beam console. That is a totally different thing. But the actual plasma damage over time proc to non-plasma weapons is still there, as you can see. 2.5 chance, 103.9 plasma damage per second for 15 seconds, ignore shields. That's actually not the actual figures. In space we'll see the actual figures. But know that that proc still exists. So these are not completely useless yet. Since I'm not using the science consoles for anything else on this ship, for any kind of build, because it's not a science ship, I'm not building it that way, I might as well just keep these on here and use these. So that's what I'm doing. And it also improves shield drain and energy drain, flow caps, if I was using anything, but I'm not. I could actually change these out with a different kind of science console that did something different other than flow cap, because I'm not really using any abilities that drain energy, shield drain and energy drain. I'm not really using those abilities on this ship. So that flow caps is not really helping me out here. However, it would be if I had one console, which I do not have, and I really wish I did. And I know everyone says, I can't believe you don't have one of those. Yes, a plasmonic leech. I don't have one of those. That would make this ship much better than it is. I realize that. I recognize it. Plasmonic leech, however, is very expensive and I can't afford it. But believe you me, if there is one thing I would change on this ship, it would be to put a plasmonic leech. It would make this ship more useful. Definitely do more damage, and then that flow caps would really come in handy. Yeah, see, it's 36 or about 37 million energy credits. I don't have that, so I'm not going to have one of those right now. But one day in the future, if I ever get one, it is definitely going on a cruiser. But right now, yeah, I don't have plasmonic leech, but if I did, or if you do, that is a good thing to add to your build here. I would definitely replace a console for that. So there's nothing I can do about that right now. I just don't have one, and that's that. So anyway, that's kind of my build. It works pretty well for me. This is the unique console. This is the Polaric Chromoelectric Modulator. Shield hardened build charges. For up to 30 seconds, each time you are hit by energy damage, you gain a chromoelectric charge. You reduce damage to shields by 2.5% per charge up to 20 stacks. At any time, remove all charges from self to emit chromoelectric pulse at foe, so you can enable it faster, and it will shoot this bolt of electricity at the foe. It disables the foe for 6 seconds. While disabled, the foe takes 600 electrical damage. Or you can allow it to wait out the 30 seconds, and then it will automatically fire a chromoelectric pulse at random nearby foe without any charge benefits. So it's got two different kind of modes in a way. You can let it build up a charge and then fire it manually, and it will only hit one target when you fire it manually. But then you get that disable and you get that electrical damage on the foe. Now, if you don't do that, after 30 seconds are up, it will emit a pulse that is basically an AoE effect at that time, an area of effect. It will hit nearby foe, but without those charge benefits. So you have to be near enemies or have them close to your ship for that to work. The problem with that 30-second timer is, well, by the time you've enabled it and 30 seconds are up, you've already destroyed your enemy, so there's no ships around you, and so when it fires off, it's just firing off into nothing, and it doesn't affect anybody. That's what happens to me most of the time, because I can kill the enemy in under 30 seconds. They're gone. And so by the time, even if I hit the thing right as I go into battle, by the time it discharges after 30 seconds, there's no ships around me anymore. They're all dead. So the mode that I end up using the most is the manual fire mode. But even with that, it only gets more powerful over time. So again, you kind of have to wait for it to build up charges. And then once all your charges are built up, if you really want to do a lot of damage, you have to then fire it. But by that time, your enemy is almost dead again also anyway. So it's kind of pointless at that time. If you fire it too early, it doesn't do a lot of damage. It doesn't do anything. Basically, it's kind of pointless. So that's why I kind of really don't use this weapon a lot. It's just not very effective because of the fact you have to let it build a charge and let it build and build and build. And it only does that when the enemy is firing on you, keep in mind. That charge will not build as you sit there taking no damage. It will only build as you take damage. So you have to not only sit there and let it build charges, but also you have to have the enemy firing on you for it to build those charges. And then by the time you built up a strong charge, well, you've already killed the enemy. So same difference. So these are things that you only can really figure out when you play like I do, when you use these ships for a very long time and actually use them in the real world and then I can bring you this information. I mean, if I had just put this ship on today and hadn't played with the ship, I wouldn't have known that's the real world usage of this this console here. But that's how it works out in the real world. So I take a lot of time with these ships. I play them for a very long time before I bring you these videos, so that I can figure these things out for you guys and let you know how it works, you know, in the real world. Okay, so that's the build. That's all that. Masteries. This has 5 masteries. Because it's tier 6, it's got 5. Tier 5U has 4. Any ship under that has none. The first mastery unlock is physical and kinetic damage resistance. Plus 25 physical and kinetic damage resistance. So it's a cruiser, it's a tank, building on that. The second unlock is regenerate 8.5 hull, or 1.25% of your current max every 3 seconds in space, or twice in this regeneration out of combat. So basically an increased hull regeneration, but it's very small. So small that I don't notice the difference with this thing going on. I didn't notice the difference before it or after it. It's just such a small hull heal that you really don't notice it. This tier 3 ability is energy and radiation damage resistance. So plus 25 energy damage resistance and radiation. Again, building on the tankiness of a cruiser here. The fourth ability is plus 10% hull hit points, or health, or ship hit points. That's your hull strength, basically, in space. So higher hull strength. And then finally, the load viral warhead. This thing happens pretty much automatically. Loads a viral torpedo for 30 seconds, causes your next torpedo attack to disable the target for 5 seconds. To target, disable for 5 seconds once viral torpedo is loaded. It's kind of like a viral matrix, except in a torpedo form. And then it has a cooldown. I really don't notice much usage out of this thing either. Now, it does it automatically. It works. It's firing those things, but it's only a disable, and it's only for 5 seconds. So it doesn't last that long. And I don't really even notice that my enemy is disabled for 5 seconds, to be honest with you. I mean, sure, I guess they are, but I don't notice it when I'm in combat. Things are going so fast. A ship disabled for 5 seconds is like nothing to me. It's just, it's not there. I don't see it. I don't notice it happening. You know, there's nothing different that I notice. So I don't know, again, how useful this ability is. It's there, it's doing it, it works. You guys will see it when I go into battle here. Its usefulness, that's up in the air to me. But when you look under traits now, you will see it's an actual trait. So I can disable this trait if I want. But I can also gain more traits. And that is, of course, done through specializations. As you keep getting more and more specializations, you know, you can unlock more. You can unlock other starship traits. I'm looking forward to that. Because the more starship traits I can unlock, I think maybe there'll be some other useful ones. But this particular one, I just don't know about. But as you can see, it's pretty much like a trait. So you can disable or enable it. Of course, there's no reason not to use it, so just leave it enabled. Let it do its thing. That's pretty much all there is to show for this particular ship, as far as, you know, everything here we can do on ground. The rest we need to go up into space to look at. I'll just go over my specializations real quick. I've pretty much got everything in Intelligence Officer, and I even have a couple into Tier 2 now. Adaptive Targeting. I kind of like this one. This is really cool. Upon missing your target, you gain plus 5% accuracy for 10 seconds, and it can stack up to 4 times. So on a beam boat with as many beams as I'm firing, they will often miss the target, right? Well, every time it misses, then this can start stacking and give me more accuracy for 10 seconds. And it can stack up to 4 times, so I can get 5 times 4 of the accuracy there for 10 seconds. Not bad. So I like that ability. I think this is good for a cruiser or a beam boat right here, this Tier 2 Intelligence Officer specialization. I've got nothing in Pilot, nothing else anywhere else, just basically all in Intelligence Officer here. Oh yeah, the Bridge Officer setup, duh. That's what we got to show. Here's the Bridge Officer setup. Now again, you can do a million different things here on your Bridge Officer setup. So what I'm showing you is just one way to do it. It's not the only way. there's probably better options. Some people have suggested to me multiple fire at wills instead of just one. If I really wanted to build for tank, you know, being a cruiser build for tank, I could do like auxiliary power to dampeners. I could do auxiliary to the structural integrity field, which is SIF, aux to SIF. I can do so many different things here, honestly. But the way I've gone is just to really kind of get a balance in there and try to do as much damage as I can do, really. I've got beam fire at will 3, because it's a beam ship. I got torpedo high yield 2. I wish I could have torpedo high yield 3, but that would take up this position, so I went with FAW 3 instead. Attack team 1, torpedo spread 2, and beam overload. Now the reason why I have a beam overload on here may seem kind of funky, because it crits every time. The weapon, they've upgraded this as of like a year or two ago. They upgraded this ability so that it crits every time you fire beam overload. It didn't used to do that, but that's why I like it now. It maybe wasn't as useful back then, but now I think it's useful, especially when you're firing anti-protons and the big thing is doing critical hits and you have everything maxed for critical hit damage. Well, this thing critical hits, you're guaranteed a critical hit every time you use it. So there you go. There's one way to get your critical hits in. Beam overload. So that's why I have it. I have a lot of beams, and it makes sense to me. It's logical. Maybe I'm thinking too Vulcan, I don't know. But it seems very logical to me to have a beam overload on a beam ship. Directed energy modulation 3. This is penetrating energy damage. It's going to allow me to get through the shields easier. Emergency power to weapons 3 to get my damage up. Engineering team 2. Emergency power to shields to give me a little bit of the shield heal there and tankiness. And then this is where it comes the fun part. This seating right here. This can be a science officer seating, so you can have 2 science officers. Of course, that's what I used my universal for. Or you can use this for intelligence seating. Obviously, since this is my first tier 6 ship with intelligence seating, I had to use it for intelligence seating. I'm using Zet. Who are you, Zet? You are, yes, the potato head. You are the hierarchy officer that you get in one of the missions. So he's hierarchy, but what makes him different is that he is an intelligence specialist. So he is able to use those intelligence powers. And that's why I put him in my bridge officer seating. He's the only intelligence officer I have on this ship, or on this character. So obviously he's the one that has to go there. I don't know if there are other intelligence officers in the game. You guys can let me know if there are other ways to get intelligence officers. I don't know where that is. Maybe the exchange, or I don't know what. Maybe you craft them? I don't know what you do now. But you guys can let me know if there's other intelligence specialists out there. I don't see the need for having a different one right now. The potato head works fine for me right now, but I mean, as just for playing around with it, I do wonder if there are other ones out there. But anyway, that is what I have here for this seating. This is, of course, only a lieutenant intelligence officer seating, so you only have an ensign power and a lieutenant power, just like your other seatings. It's the same way: lieutenant, ensign, and then lieutenant, and then if it would have lieutenant commander and then commander. And then I use the universal slot up here for science. So I could have used this for science, but then I wouldn't have any intelligence officers. So I wanted to try out intelligence powers for the first time. So I used the universal to be my science officer. I got hazard emitters 2 and science team 1. And then I used the intelligence seating for my intelligence officer. Now the powers, let's go to powers. We go to Zet, go to skills. This is now, it's set for intelligence officer. Of course, he's not a command officer, he's just intelligence. We go to space, ensign powers. So these are the intelligence. Never mind, those aren't the intelligence. Wait a minute, those are the intelligence. Yeah. No, wait, no, they're down here, that's right. It's weird. Okay. First of all, he's a science career, so he can have regular science abilities just like any other science character. But then when you scroll down, he can also have intelligence abilities. And he can only have that in the ensign and lieutenant slot. If you go to lieutenant command... Oh, he's got... No, I take that back. Oh, it's just because my ship doesn't have that. That's right. So yeah, he can have intelligence powers all the way up to commander. But the thing is, of course, my ship only supports up to lieutenant. If I had a ship that supported more, I could have other abilities. See, that's how that works. So we come down here to the ensign power, intelligence abilities. These are the things he can be trained in. And of course, to get these training manuals, you can buy them off exchange. You can craft them just like you train up your other bridge officers. You train up your intelligence abilities the same way. Evade target lock 1, override subsystem safeties 1, viral impulse burst 1, intelligence team 1, and subspace beacon. These are the ensign intelligence powers available to my ship. I am using evade target lock 1 right now. Using this ability will allow you to intrude on the enemy's ability to effectively target you with its weapon systems. So this kind of sounds like jam sensors, but maybe a little more intelligent than jam sensors. That's a little joke there. For the duration of the debuff, they will suffer a major accuracy penalty when attempting to hit your ship. When this ability is used, your ship will become briefly untargetable while the target enemy is briefly disabled. This will interrupt any ongoing effects and cancel their targeting lock on you. Additionally, all nearby mines and targetable torpedoes will not be able to establish a target lock on your ship, causing them to seek out alternate targets. So, there you go. It's basically a more intelligent or more advanced jam sensors. But there are other abilities too. For example, override subsystem safeties 1. Temporarily override the safety measures in place for all power subsystems, allowing them to support far more power for a limited amount of time. This power dump will decay each second while the safety is overridden, meaning that the benefit will gain also gradually decrease over the power's duration. I'm actually using this ability on my lieutenant power, and I'm going to show you that in space. There's other things. Viral Impulse Burst 1. Send out a wave of viral information specifically designed to override nearby enemies' navigational controls. Intelligence Team 1. Intelligence Team grants the target or yourself a short duration targeting cloak. You all can read about these because if you've played the Delta Rising missions, you probably have Zet. So, you can check these out for yourself. Subspace Beacon 1. Place a subspace beacon at your current location. While the beacon is active, you may fold space to warp back to its location at will. That sounds pretty fun, actually, but I haven't tried that one out. So basically, I could learn all these, and eventually I will, so that I can try all these out. But the one I'm stuck with right now is Evade Target Lock. I thought that sounded pretty cool. So it's my first intelligence ability. I wanted to try it out. Eventually, like I said, I'm going to learn each one and try each one out. I could probably make a whole video just on trying out all these powers. For the lieutenant station, there's more stuff. Here's Electromagnetic Pulse Probe. Launch a slow-moving probe which will always travel to the location they were at when the ability was activated. While en route, it will periodically emit a high-powered electromagnetic pulse that will temporarily disable any enemy ships within a short radius. That sounds cool. Here's Evade Target Lock 2, Ionic Turbulence, Viral Impulse Burst, Subspace Beacon 2, Kinetic Magnet 1, Intelligence Team 2, which I did train in to try it out. And the one I actually went with that I'll show you is Override Subsystem Safeties 2. This is a really cool power. What this is going to do is allow all my power levels to exceed their safety levels and go up to an incredibly high level, except that they immediately start going back down. But what it allows me to do is really use some of my abilities with like just maximum power. And I'm talking like 190 weapon power. Yeah, you guys will see it. Maybe not that much. More like maybe 161. But yeah, very high level power levels. I'll show you that ability anyway. So that's basically all that intelligence powers are. It's just like your other powers you would train on the character, except they're just different. They're better in other ways, and of course they can only be used on Tier 6 ships, so that makes it unique. Basically, Tier 6 ships have this set of powers that no other ships can use, and that sets Tier 6 ships apart from Tier 5U, Tier 5, and other ships. That was just one way Cryptic did it to set Tier 6 ships apart, are these intelligence powers. So that's what I'm using. I'm using this station for those 2 intelligence powers. I'll show you how that works in space. Alright. That's a lot of information right there, but hopefully that will be useful to somebody. Let's go take a look at the bridge. The Visit Starship Bridge. I haven't seen the bridge yet myself, so I'm curious about this. Good old stow load times. Oh yeah, come on. Gotta love that. At least I'm not disconnecting today or lagging. Oh, here we go. Benthan Bridge. Different. Very dark. I'm very red. Got a sunburn going on, don't mind me. Don't know why they need a giant fan right in the middle of the bridge that exhausts air. Or something. Who knows what. Let's come back here. Select a small craft. Got a big display here. We can contact duty officers. Now, I don't know why there's just this one seat in the rear with a view screen. That's weird. Maybe that's the front of the ship then, and this is supposed to be the back. So again, with these bubbles, they love these bubbles. Yeah, I guess that's supposed to be the front of the ship because you sit that way. So I don't know if that's the captain's chair or if this is the captain's chair. I don't know. Library files. Account bank. I like this. It's kind of neat, except, again, they're not real windows, and I always like looking out real windows while I'm flying a ship. You know, I don't like looking out a display. I want to look out real windows. Kind of a weird configuration. We've never seen anything kind of like this before. You've got a seat way up front. You got this seat back here with a nice big console. This is where I would want to sit. I wouldn't want to sit way up front. You've got whatever this is going on. If this is supposed to indicate that you're in that big blue bubble in the back of the ship, then that's weird. Because that doesn't make any sense. Because the bubble is the back of the ship, not the front of the ship. Plus, if this were the bubble, think about this now, if this were the bubble, and they're saying that the ship flies the way it flies, you would be looking this way then. You'd be looking out the bubble this way. So the seats should be turned around. But they're saying, no, this is looking forward. So they're actually saying looking forward is the right way. They're actually contradicting the way that they have the ship orientated in space with the way that these are positioned right now. Very confusing. I really think they need to revisit the orientation of the ship and get it right. It's very confusing to me. Actually, it's not confusing. If you watch Voyager, there's only one way that's right, and it's what's in Voyager. And what's in Voyager shows how it's supposed to be flown, and it's not being flown right in Star Trek Online. So there, that's that. End of story, period. Leave ship interior. They've got it wrong. The show's got it right. Let's go into space and see what we got here. Hopefully all my bridge officer abilities will stay with me. I know that all of you have been having the same problems. Your bridge officer abilities disappearing. Yes, everything is there. Thank goodness. Now, yes, good. Everything is there. All my traits. Excellent. Everything is finally there. Okay, so we got the default skin. So this is what the ship looks like default. And like I said, it's backwards. This should be the rear. Yet, how they currently have it positioned is that this is the rear. This should be the front. I'm trying to figure out where the bridge is. The bridge is somewhere on this side. I'm trying to figure out where it's at. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to turn around at the sunlight here so we can get some light on them. I think, you see, that's supposed to be the bridge down there. See, that would make sense. I mean, that looks like a bridge to me. It's got big windows around it. I don't think the bridge would be up here. That wouldn't make sense. See, although all the antennas are here on the front side of the ship, these are supposed to be like weapon platforms. This is where the beams or whatever you're firing come out of. Supposed to, at least. And I think that's supposed to be the bridge. But when we just went to the bridge, there was a big blue bubble around it, which makes you think that they've got the bridge set back here. But then that makes no sense at all. So I really think they need to figure this thing out because it's driving me crazy. But anyway, the ship currently flies this way, backwards. Now, there are two things that this ship reminds me of when I look at this profile. Number one, it's Sequest DSV. This reminds me of flying a submarine. If you've seen Sequest, an old show from the 90s, which is very, very fun, I recommend watching the first few seasons. If you have seen that show, this kind of reminds me of looking like a submarine. Number two, the other thing it reminds me of is a duck. Reminds me of a duck. Especially this part here kind of reminds me of a platypus. This back section, which is what they've currently got set as the front, reminds me of a platypus bill. It's a duck. I'm flying a duck. But as you can see, they've got the rear of it facing forward, and that's how I'm flying it, and that's completely backwards. It's just backwards. This whole thing is hollow. I mean, it is. This bubble thing, whatever it is back here, is hollow. That's not where the bridge is at then. I mean, it's impossible. Plus, it looks like there's some kind of external door here. And that makes sense that it would be behind you, not in front of you. Yeah, I mean, the thing's just backwards. Here's how it should be flying. Let's go into reverse. Let's fly it in reverse so that we can fly forward. This is how it should be flying. Can I fly faster in reverse? This is how it should be flying. Is this way. Which I know that also looks kind of funky, but it's right. So, yeah. Come on, guys. Get that right. Because that's really annoying to me. I cannot stand it. Okay, so where are we at? My power levels are at 125 weapon, 85 shield, 59 engine, 63 aux. Stats on this thing. I'm sitting at 266% transfer rate. My hull is 82,446, so very good hull strength. 17,003 shields, 47, almost a 50% resist on everything, kinetic and energy. So very high resist. My crit severity is almost 100%. Now my crit chance is very low. If I were smart, I would probably replace these with some crit chance. Bonus accuracy is 25%. When we speed up here, our turn rate is 17 degrees per second. Remember, base is like 10.5 or something, so that's definitely buffed up using these abilities. Remember, this has a two-piece ability of having more flight speed and turn rate from the Delta stuff. Oh yeah, I don't think I showed you the warp core on ground. I'm using the Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core with FWA, ECAP, AMP, and SSS. Basically, it's a very good Spire warp core that has the plasma integrated part to it so that it will resist all that power drainage and stuff. Very good for a cruiser like this. Very good warp core. So you've seen all that. All my masteries are unlocked. Here's a good picture over Earth. Intelligence powers. Here's the modulate. Actually, that's the console power. Well, let's show that first. So this is the console power. This is this power here, the console universal polaric chromoelectric modulator. When we hover over it, you'll see the actual damage that it does. So it can do 630.9 electrical damage to the enemy when it's charged. It does a disable for 6 seconds, not 5. There's 6 seconds, plus 0.2 second per charge. After 30 seconds, of course, it fires on its own. Let's reorientate the ship because we can fire at ESD. Watch this. We'll set it. So that's what the effect looks like. Basically, what this shows is I'm taking no damage right now. But if I were taking damage, there would be these little blocks in here that fill in. And that shows it stacking up its damage, basically. And then the timer, as you can see, is running. Once the timer runs out, it'll automatically fire the pulse. And you'll see that. Now, I can fire it early when I'm in combat by hitting the button. But...
Warning. Ship is under attack.
That's it. Now, it looks cool, but it's kind of weird when it's in actual combat. Because, again, you can either wait for the 30 seconds to run out and it does an AoE effect. Problem is, the enemies are all dead by then. Or 2, you can fire it off early, but then it only affects one foe, and it doesn't do much damage unless you wait a long time and let it stack up damage. Otherwise, you fire it off too early, it doesn't do anything. So that's that. We'll take a look at it in combat, and I'll show you, how that works. The intelligence officer abilities. Okay, this is the ensign power one, evade target lock. So that's what it does there. I can't fire it here until I'm in combat. This is the other one, the override subsystem safeties 2. Now watch this. I'm going to hit this button. I want you to look at my weapon power, my shield, engine, and aux power. I want you to look at them right now. Put your eyes on that. I'm going to hit this button. Check that out, 161, and then it all starts going down pretty fast. But if you look at that, when I hit the button there, you'll see they all went up really high, and then they start going down very quickly. And that's what Override Subsystem does, basically. Allows you to have a really high power setting on everything for a short amount of time, and then it's over. And then it disables the system, so there is a side effect to that. When it ends, one random subsystem goes offline for 4 seconds. So yeah, one of your subsystems, and I think this one, it was the shield that just went offline or something. I forgot what it was. One of them went offline for a few seconds. I really have not found that to be a detriment. I'm sure it happens, but I think it can also be overcome with engineering team. I want to try this actually when this resets here. I think that the subsystem offline can be offset by engineering team. I think. I'm going to try it anyway. That's what I heard, but I haven't tried it yet. But I really haven't found that one subsystem going down to be a detriment to using the ability. There's really nothing else special about this ship to show you. Its only unique power is that modulated chromoelectric pulse. I mean, that's it. And then, of course, the viral torpedo, which does it automatically. I can only show you that in combat. Those two things are its only unique powers. Okay, now that it's reset, I'm going to hit this, and then when a subsystem goes offline here, when this resets, I'm going to do engineering team and see if that removes the offline status. Let's see, any second. One should go offline. There we go. Yeah, there you go. I hit it. My weapon power went offline, but I hit it and it came back online. So there you go. If you save engineering team, then you can offset the offline status of the power thing here. So that's cool. So there's a way to overcome it. You don't have to worry about that system going offline. That's cool to know. Okay, good. We learned something today. Oh, here's the viral warhead. See, it's ready and loaded to fire because I hit engineering team. It was ready to go. It would have gone if we were in combat. I can, of course, only show you that in combat. But I think that's what we're almost time to do now. Let's look at my power levels or my depths. 1254 DPS, 1568 anti-proton damage. The dual one is doing 1617 DPS, 2000 anti-proton damage. So pretty good anti-proton damage, to be honest with you. These, of course, are the same. This one is 1000 DPS and 1300 anti. That's really good. And then, of course, the kinetic one, it does 1444 DPS, 1800 kinetic damage. Not to be overlooked, the kinetic cutting beam. So pretty good overall damage there. I mean, could be worse, but the only way to really improve it anymore is to go all epic on everything. So, you know, not too bad. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, that increases, of course. That increases when we do emergency power to weapons 2. So you'll note that these are at 1254 DPS, 1568. We hit this. We go to 1467 and 1834. Now this one's up to 1892 and then 23. So yeah, quite a bit more with that emergency power to weapons 3 there. That's why I love that, especially on a cruiser. Firing a lot of beams there really comes in handy to do more damage. There's nothing else special really about the ship, just those two things: the chromo-electric thingy, the viral torpedo, and then of course whatever 2 intelligence powers you want to put there. You can decide which intelligence powers you want to use, but those 2 there, that'll also set your ship apart from other ships. So it's that time now to do ISA, Infected Space Advanced, and then we'll do Argala to show you in a more slower paced environment how these abilities work and what they do. So I will pause the video now and I'll get an ISA going, and we will do that. So stand by. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Here goes ISA, Infected Space Advanced. Now this does go quite fast paced, so I may not be able to show you all the abilities to the best of my ability, but we will do it in a slower run of Argala after ISA. But I will try to use all the abilities, just watch carefully. I'll point them out as I use them. There's really not a good chance to use the chromo-electric thingy here, to be honest with you. But I'll use it. We'll go ahead and get it going. There it goes. But I think all these things will be dead before it actually serves a purpose. I just used the intelligence team. See, I'm not even taking damage right now. It doesn't build up or stack unless the enemies hits me, and they're not hitting me right now. And it expired. It's over. Didn't do a thing. So basically there, I wasted that ability. That's how useless it is sometimes. And the enemy's dead, so there's no point.
Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded.
I love the neutronic torpedo, to be honest with you. That fires really cool. I forgot to show you the amount of radiation damage it does, but we'll do that after the run. Looks like we got a little ahead of ourselves there. Nobody was on that generator. Oops. Oh, and I'm dying. Didn't even notice I was dying there. Let's use my all power for a sec.
Hull integrity below 75%. 4 shields failing. Rear shields failing. Right shields failing. Hull integrity below 25%.
Oh, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And I'm dead. That was close, too. We almost failed that. It was taking a long time to bring the transformer down there. Gotta be very quick on that transformer. Once the gens are down and the nanites come out, you better get on that transformer. You better fire everything you got at that transformer.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Disarm your weapons. You will escort us to your own world, where we will begin assimilating your culture and technology.
Target's shields have failed.
So, watch down here, and there's the viral torpedo. I don't even notice when it fires, to be honest with you. I never see it firing, so I guess it does its thing, but yeah, you guys can watch and see if you see it, but I never notice it. I never see it firing. I guess it's just adds to the whatever torpedo you're firing. I guess.
Target's shields have failed.
Your defensive capabilities are unable to withstand us. Lower your shields and await assimilation.
Come on.
Left shield.
Get away from the gates. Stupid gates. Kill my shields. Okay, let's make sure everybody's ready.
We are borg. Surrender your vessel and prepare for assimilation.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
There we go.
Target's shields have
Let's
failed.
give this thing the business. I'm getting some rubber banding. That's not good. Get the chromo electric on, but it's not going to help us much here. There, it's starting to build charge. There we go. Finally. Something is hitting me with a lot of force.
Right shield's failing.
Now, let's fire it early. Okay, fire it early. There it goes. Bam! For whatever good that does, I have no idea, but we fired it early. Now you can see what it does.
Target's shields have failed.
Uh-oh, I'm getting some rubber banding. This is not good. The last time I did a video on this too, I had a really bad rubber banding.
Target's shields have failed.
It seems to be happening again. That's not good. This is patch day, so I guess there's some lag due to that.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
is futile.
Yeah, I'm having really bad problem right now with lagging. My weapons are not firing when I ask them to. Having trouble targeting the right thing.
Rear shields failing. 4 shields failing. Right shields failing.
Man, it's taking a long time to get the weapons firing on whatever I want. Like right now, it's like not doing anything. So, sorry guys, that's not my fault, that's not me. That is the game server, not, I can't, like right now, it's not firing weapons. Come on, fire! Whoa, that sphere came right at me.
Will become one with the borg.
Right shields failing.
Let's do a chromo electric, we'll get that charging up.
Target's shields have failed. 4 shields failing.
There's one charge. Yay, one charge. This lagging is so terribly bad right now. It's like progressively getting worse.
Resistance is futile.
4 shields failing. Target's shields have failed. Left shields failing.
Okay, there we go. Wow. Where'd the cube go? Down here.
Hull integrity below 75%. Target's shields have failed.
We will add your technological and biological distinctiveness to our own.
Wow. Man, it's like stopping and starting. Craziness. Alright, my chromo electric is ready, so let's use it again. And this is the part where you just wait, and if I'm not taking damage, it only... There, now it's starting to stack. So, gotta wait. I'll let the 30 seconds run out this time, and you can see it do its AoE pulse thingy. We'll charge up right here before it lets off, so we'll get maximum power. And there, it just did it. Basically, that was it. Yeah, hard to see, actually, with everything going on. Yeah, my weapon, I'm not even firing. Come on. Fire, fire ship. This is the lag I'm getting right now. It's taking that long to fire weapons on my ship. Yeah, that was killer on lag. I apologize for that. Nothing I can do about it. It's just the nature of the game at this point. And pretty terrible. We do get more XP now after this patch, so there's that. How many marks did I get for that? 90 and then 66, so that's not bad. More expertise, I guess. Dilithium? I don't know. Anyway, that is a look at ISA in the ship. Ignore the game mechanics and all that. And one thing you will notice is the viral torpedo, you can't hardly tell that it's doing anything. You don't ever see it firing, so I never know that it's actually working unless I look down here and see that it's loading. The chromoelectric thing is, well, pretty useless, to be honest with you. Even if you fire it manually, I fired it at the transformer, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. And if you haven't stacked up a lot of, energy on it, it doesn't do anything. And if you're not taking damage, it's not stacking. And it's just crazy. And if you let it run out for 30 seconds, that's cool. But, I don't know, it didn't seem to do anything to the Borg cube, so I don't know. We'll take a look at it, though, in Argala, because we definitely need to do that. I'm going to heal up, and then we can do Argala here. So as far as a cruiser ship goes, I think the way to look at this ship is just to think of it as just that. It's a cruiser. That's what it's meant for. That's what it is. You can build it to be a fairly good tank. I would not buy the ship for its console. I would not buy the ship for the viral torpedo. Let's just say that. Those two things don't make me want to rush out and buy the ship. Those two abilities. So that's not the trying to think of the word here. That's not the thing that's pulling me toward this ship. Chromoelectric thingy and the viral torpedo. Those are not the reasons why I would buy the ship. Okay, customize, not shuttle and not customize. Why am I going there? Repair ship. Let's try that instead. Repair aux damage. Now, the one thing I forgot to show you is the actual plasma damage that those two science consoles are adding and the radiation damage from the torpedo. I will show you that now while we go into space here, and you'll see the actual numbers on that damage that's being added. Okay, let's go here, let's go here. So these are doing 206.8 plasma damage per second for 15 seconds when that procs. So you add two of those together, bada bang, bada boom, there you go. That's what you get. The neutronic torpedo is doing 1,221.9 radiation damage. So quite a bit of radiation damage from the neutronic torpedo. Now, one thing I think I forgot to show you was that there's a two-piece bonus for using the bio-neural gel pack and the torpedo, is that is increasing the radiation damage by plus 14.2% and a 20% cooldown reduction to the neutronic torpedo. So there's another time reduction. So I'm getting time reduction from the bio-neural gel pack on my bridge officer abilities, but then with the two-piece bonus of these two things, I'm getting a time reduction on the neutronic torpedo itself, which is really nice. And then I'm getting more radiation damage, which of course helps the neutronic torpedo because it does radiation damage. 1,221.9 radiation damage. So that's radiation damage, and then of course I got this plasma to non-plasma weapons damage also being added. So as you can see, just a couple of ways there to really add some more damage to the ship. Basically, that's it. Okay, let's go to the Delta Quadrant. Let's do Argala, and I can show you now some of the powers a little bit in a little more controlled environment. Try to look for the viral torpedo if you can. If I see it down here, I'll point out that it's going to fire it. but I don't think it has a visual effect. I think it's like just an ability that's tied on to whatever torpedo you're firing, so you never really see it fire a specific special thing. And then the chromoelectric, of course, you do see that fire. I can fire it off early, or I can wait 30 seconds. I'll do both, and I'll point them out. I'll do one where I fire it early, and I'll do one where I let the timer run out on it. Argala. Good old Argala. Alrighty then. Now there's no point in charging up the chromoelectric now, because let me show you what happens, alright? I'll charge up the chromoelectric, but watch what happens. Alright, let's go full throttle on this.
Target shields have failed.
He's already destroyed, so the chromoelectric would do nothing. Now let's say I'm out of range of that character. Let's say I'm still back here. Watch what happens. See, it's all charged up now, but watch what happens. It'll go off. And look, that shot at nothing. That didn't even do a thing. I was actually in targeting range of that character, or that NPC, and yet the thing still fired off way out here in the distance for some reason. Completely useless! Point is that.
Target shields have failed.
See how quickly I brought down those two enemies? That's another thing. You know, I can bring down those enemies so fast, by the time the chromoelectric's ready to fire off, they would have been dead. It wouldn't have fired on anything, just like it did a second ago. It didn't fire on anything. Pointless, because it's crazy. It's stupid.
Warning, ship is under attack.
It sounds cool on paper. It just doesn't pan out when you actually use it.
Target's shields have failed.
Okay, it's ready to go again. I'll charge it up, get it going. And I'll fire it off early this time.
Target shields have failed.
So we'll let it build up a whole ring. Let's let it do that. But see, my other enemy's almost dead by the time I'm ready to fire it. Okay, there, we'll fire it off. There we go. But you see, by the time I was actually ready to use it, the enemy was almost dead. I could have had him dead before I fired off the thing.
Target shields have failed.
There's the radiation damage from the neutronic torpedo. Very nice. I like how you can see that radiation damage. I haven't even seen the viral torpedo. It's on. It'll fire at some point. I guess I need to hit tactical team or something. There, now it's loaded. Now I'm not in a direction to fire it. It's loaded, so I mean, you watch and see if it does anything. If I can, there we go. I fired it. See, it just looks like a regular torpedo. It doesn't look anything special. So, I guess you don't see it. I guess they're disabled for 5 seconds, but that doesn't last long either. So, it's kind of a... I wish it had a visual effect to it. I wish you could see it. But you can't.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
We're 3 of 5. Okay, we're not at the last one yet. I'll go ahead and charge it up for another go. Chromo Electric, do your thing. I'll let it blow naturally this time, but I may have the enemy dead by then. We'll see.
Target's shields have failed.
It's charging up. It's charged up now. But one of the enemy just went. Still hasn't blown yet. Let's see it fire off. There, it just fired off. So, but you see, by the time it fired off on that ship, his health was almost gone. He was almost dead. So that it's like, I guess it finished him off, but I could have finished him off just as easy without it. It's not really helping me a lot, is my point.
Warning, ship is under attack.
I wish it was an ability I could fire, you know, it was fully charged so that I could, like, fire right now. It's not something I have to wait to build a charge. I think the waiting to build a charge thing is what's killing it as an effective weapon.
Target's shields have failed. Four shields failing. Rear shields failing. Right shields failing. Target's shields have failed.
Bada bing, bada boom. There you go, it's done. I win. Yeah, they have the NPCs flying backwards too. So that is a pretty good overview, I think, of the Benthan Cruiser here. Want to do one more just for the fun of it, since it's a tier 6 ship, my first one after all. Let's go ahead and do another patrol. Let's go to let's do something in the Delta system. Let's see what's good. What's what here? I forget what's what. Oh yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's do it against the APUs. That's fun. The APUs are pretty damaging, so I think we'll make that maybe our new patrol extra that we do here. Sakari, let's do, yeah, the APUs. This is a good one, because these things hit hard, especially when you have all of them firing on you, and I'll get all of them to fire on us. The, what are they called? The, I forgot their faction names. I knew them, then I forgot them. Whatever they are, we'll find out here in a second. The Prelor and Kraylor or something? Anyway, when you get all of them attacking you, it's fun. So that's what we'll do. Kravik, and Prelor and Kravik, that's it. There we go, an APU. Okay, let's just FFF all through that. And if we FFF through everything else, if we F it all, then we will have everybody attack us. There we go. Yes, bring it on. Bring on the pain. Ugh.
Target's shield has failed.
By the way, Chromo Electric building up. I'll just let it expire and maybe we'll get that AoE effect, whatever.
Target's shield has failed.
Should go there, it just went. So you can see now it did affect multiple vessels. But I don't think it's doing a lot of damage to them. Nice. Yeah, this is a very good test of ships. I think I will use this one more often.
Target's shield has failed. Core shields failing. Target's shield has failed.
By the way, this diamond effect on the shielding, that's the Delta Alliance Unimatrix shield. It has a stacking damage buff or something to it that it does. I'll look at it again when it comes on.
Target's shield has failed.
Is this the final one? Yeah, this is the final one. So we'll fire this off, see if you fire it off. There. Did it. Whatever it does. I did it. Ow. Chromo electric charge. That's funny, it's like stuck. A chromo electric charge is stuck on. That's never happened before. There's a bug for you. It's like two wings on the back of my ship. Whee! Oh, that's weird. Okay. Anyway, well, there you go, guys. That's pretty much all that I can show you about this ship because that's all there is to it. It's a fairly simple cruiser, not very complicated. It only has 2 intelligence officer positions. You have that ensign and lieutenant intelligence officer seating, so you can only choose from those 2. That will set it apart from some other ships and the abilities that you can use. I like these 2 abilities. I definitely want to experiment with the other intelligence abilities. Again, I could make a whole video out of that once I play around with them all. But the unique ability to the ship, the chromo electric pulse, is, I think, kind of a non-issue, a non-thing. It's just it's an extra thing to the ship, but you're going to end up not using it much or finding it that useful. So I think, that should not be a buying decision for the ship. You shouldn't buy the ship because you want this console. Now, I will say it is part of a set because you can put it on the Hazari ship. Excuse me. And apparently the Hazari ship also has a console. And I guess if you put them together, maybe there's a bonus. I don't know what that is. Let's see if it shows us. That could be useful. Let's see. Here you go. Yeah. So you get the Hazari shield drone console, and then you have a 2-piece bonus for that called a minus 30-second recharge time on Benthan and Hazari ship consoles. Oh, so there you go. So putting two of them together, or putting those two together, all that basically does is reduce the cooldown time on the console. So really not that useful either, I think. But it is what it is. I would not buy the ship because of this console. The viral torpedo, that viral torpedo trait, it sounds cool on paper, but I just don't notice it really having an effect in my battles. I just don't notice that it's doing anything. So to me, it's kind of also a non-issue, just a non-thing. Just don't buy this ship over those two things. It's not worth it. The Mastery is good. Otherwise, it's got very good resistance on the Mastery, more hit points. It's got resistance on kinetic and energy and physical. All that stuff is very good for the Mastery. The bridge officer seating is not too bad, to be honest with you. I mean, it's got a lieutenant commander tactical, so you can put a tier 3 tactical ability on there. So that's very nice. It's got that universal, which is nice because that allows you to use the science as your intelligence seating and then use the universal as your science. Otherwise, if they had locked that into something else, you might not have a science bridge officer seating. And then, of course, commander engineering. I wonder what the other traits are, the starship traits. You get those through continuing in your specializations, of course. And I don't know what the other starship traits are, but it would be interesting to know what else you could add to this ship, because I think that could help separate it and make it better. But this one right here, load viral warhead, is not extremely useful. What else is there to say about the ship? It's a decent cruiser. You can get it in a lockbox, or you can buy it from the exchange. But honestly, I've had better cruisers. If I were to sum it all up, I have had better cruisers out there. This is not the best cruiser I've ever flown. Even though this is a tier 6 ship, I have flown better tier 5 cruisers, believe it or not. So I don't think this is the best cruiser in the game. Even if it's a tier 6 ship, it's not the best cruiser. As far as if I would run this thing long term, I don't see myself running this cruiser in a long-term capacity on any character. It's a ship that's fun to play with for a little while. The looks are kind of funky. It flies backwards. The things that it comes with are not that extremely useful, and there are better cruisers. Even though it has that intelligence officer seating, I think there's better cruisers. And certainly maybe even better tier 6 cruisers, because there's the one, of course, from the Z store that I have yet to look at. Maybe that would be a better cruiser. I don't know yet until I try it out. As for the Delta Alliance set, now that I am playing with the Deflector Impulse Shield, and on another ship I've also got the Warp Core added, I am finding the Delta Alliance stuff to be really nice on a science character and even an engineering character. This is a really nice set, and you tie that in with intelligence abilities, and it's kind of cool. It's got a lot of effects that look really neat anyway. So I'm kind of liking that. The Unimatrix shield has a pretty high shield capacity. In the past, the adapted Mako was like the highest shield capacity, but this rivals that. It's kind of got that all energy damage to shields reduced by 10%, which goes for everything, whereas the Mako is just plasma. So, this is not bad, a not bad set. I'm liking the Delta Alliance stuff. Also the ground, I'll just put that in there. I know this is not a ground review, but I've been using the Delta Alliance ground set as well, and I am finding that to be pretty fun. So I think a thumbs up for the Delta Alliance space stuff. I'm definitely liking it, even on this engineering character, but I've got it on a science character. I've got it all, basically almost all put on there. On a tier 6 science ship, no doubt, and it is working out really well. But that review will be in the future. That will come. Anyway, that is my review of the Benthan Assault Cruiser Tier 6. If you are interested in it, you can go out and enjoy it, and maybe you'll know what to expect. If you're not, then you can pass it up. that's where I'll leave this ship. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.